What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. We have got some things to talk about real quick. Edwin Diaz, sticky stuff, suspended 10 games
Not
automatically.
officially.
No, I think it's automatic. It's
Oh,
automatic.
there's no appeal. There's no appeal for
There's
sticky
no
stuff.
appeal. Once you get ejected from the game, it's a 10-game suspension automatically. So we will not see Edwin Diaz for basically the next 2 weeks in terms of games that are being played. The other thing that's a little bit concerning as well, too, is that we lose that roster spot. So we'll be playing with 25 men for the next 10 games as well. But on the bright side, the Mets did win the series, took 2 of 3 from the Cubs, who are a direct competitor of ours for the wild card. So things are pretty good in Mets world still at the end of the day, including a absolute pissing of just beating the shit out of the Cubs in game 1. 11-1 was so good. That was so good. We'll talk about everything going on in Mets world as well as the series. As always, make sure you guys are following us on our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this. I am quite burnt. I was at a bachelor party this weekend and I didn't use any sunscreen. So I'm looking kind of red right now. If you want to see that over on the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Remember, if you drop us a review, we will shout you out at the end of the episode. James, how are things down in New York? I was in Bethany Beach, Delaware, and somehow blacked out from watching these games. I don't know how Delaware is the New York market that is dirty Philly territory, or even the Orioles or the Nationals. They said Mets, Cubs, can't watch that.
I'll even give you the Braves, but as we said before, and I'll say again, that's just more Rob Manfred bastardizing the game we love. New York was so hot this week. I don't know if it was as hot in Delaware.
Disgusting.
But it was a sticky 95 with like 80% humidity every day. But so nice to have some afternoon games on Friday and Saturday, especially Friday, just a nice 2:00 game to ease into the day. I was working at night, so I could just like sit down on the couch. But actually even didn't wind up sitting down on the couch running some errands. I did Pat McCarthy and Keith Rad on the radio. They had a great series calling these games, a great series from the guys, but amazing series from the Mets that sadly just gets painfully overshadowed now by Edwin Diaz sticky stuff suspension. And it's weirdly part of a trend because Tim Kirkjian 2 weeks ago says Edwin Diaz is a guy that's known for using sticky stuff.
Yeah.
And there was conversation on the broadcast with David Cohn saying that like to him, because a lot of people zoomed in Edwin Diaz's hand on Twitter and showed the picture, and there was like definitely a residue on his hand. Yeah. It looked like there was like a sediment and also like maple syrup.
Yeah,
but like kind of brownish. And David Cohn was like, that could be rosin. That might not be rosin, but he's like, I wouldn't be surprised if that is rosin. But now in 2 years of sticky stuff suspension, 7 players have been caught. 3 of the 7 are from the Mets.
Yeah, no,
which is a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, it was a little weird. Like, I'm witch hunt. I'm in on the witch hunt take, but also, yeah, I probably would have said something too if I was the umpire based on what Edwin's hands looked like. Like you said, they looked dirty. They looked like there was like some blue or something on there. It is confusing though because we never actually get clarification as to what the deal is. They just eject him because the hands are too sticky, deemable to the umpire, which we've seen before. Domingo Germán, remember he had stuff all over his hands and he's cheated once before. He'll cheat again, I'm sure. But he had sticky stuff on his hands and they told him to wash his hands and that was fine. So where is the transparency here? It seems like the sticky stuff thing, which is, again, a trend for Rob Manfred rules in Major League Baseball, not very black and white, very much opinion-based, subjective stuff.
It's painful because there's no checks and balances of the suspension.
No.
Like I guess, like you just taught me before, there's no appeal process. It's just the crew chief, who's Vic Carapazza, who just can eject you from the game, and that's a final say. And then you lose a roster spot for 10 days, and that's such a critical loss because the Mets are a team that's about to play starting next Friday after the Subway Series, or this Friday, 17 games in 17 days. I think right up exactly until the All-Star break, or maybe just the week before, playing every single day. So to be down a reliever, and to be down, again, objectively your best reliever, as he was starting to pitch his best again, maybe it was because some sticky stuff, maybe it wasn't, who knows. But there's also a tweet going around right now by Abby Mastracco, who is loading, the Mets writer for the Daily News. So take it at that. She said that Carlos Mendoza confirms that the sticky stuff ejection, Vic Carapazza told Mendoza it was too much rosin, which, to me, if it's a legal substance,
you should be allowed to use as much as you want. How can you have too much of something that's allowed?
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking right now. That's a strange thing. And also there was a moment too, though, when this conversation was happening, where if you read like the body language of Carlos Mendoza and Francisco Alvarez,
not a lot of fight.
Yeah, it seemed like there was not that much contesting to what was happening out there. It was like, all right, you got him. That sucks. But yeah, and then even the worst part of this is like the chaos ensued where Drew Smith had to warm up and then come into the game. And he did a full ass warm up. Took him like 7 minutes. And it looked like he got injured again
Yep.
his last batter of the game. The trainer, Jeremy Hefner, ran out. And then he left the game after that batter was out. And he gave up a seeing eye single. So, and then Francisco Alvarez's glove broke too as his ninth inning got even more chaotic. It was like 10 minutes. Should have been such an easy 5-2 victory. Drew Smith was probably just chilling. Pat McCarthy had left the radio booth to go downstairs to get ready for the post-game press conference. They had to run back upstairs and then run back downstairs. But just, it's never easy in Mets world. It really never is.
Never is. It's weird. I guess we'll find out more about this Edwin Diaz sticky stuff situation. At the end of the day, if it too much rosin, that feels inexcusable. I know I won't mention thou who shall not be named, who's been blackballed from baseball, but he did a video about how sweat and rosin can literally make the ball just like stick to your hand, and he did a video of it and showed it. It's tough. I don't know what the right call is. I don't know what the right rule is, but I think whatever it is, they do need to look at how this rule is written up, and they need to make it more definitive because it is way too subjective.
Yeah, it's also, again, it's painful. It does not really check.
Is that right?
Subjective? Yeah, you got it. You nailed it. Not objective.
Yeah, I mean,
Nailed it.
I've been going to sleep at 6 a.m. and waking up at 10 o'clock in the morning every single night for the last 4 nights. My brain is fried. I don't even really know what day it is.
Yeah, and you're totally sun-kissed. It's Sunday, Monday when you guys are listening. But it's just painful. It's just, again, I keep coming back to the fact that the Mets are going to lose a player in their bullpen because there were talks also in the last couple of days about this was when Christian Scott was finally going to come back, probably make one more start in the minor leagues and do it. And they were going to do it with a 6-man rotation, which makes the most sense. Christian Scott at all levels so far this year has 65 innings, and there's about half a season of baseball left. And he only had about 130 innings on his arm this year. Like that was the plan. So he has about exactly half a season left. And now for 10 days, 2 times through the rotation, you're down a bullpen guys. Does it even make sense to carry a 6-man rotation? Like this probably pushes that back too. And it's just, you need a lot. And this Mets starting rotation has proven to be a bit of an Achilles heel for this team. And now, similar to last year, both times Mets had sticky stuff suspension really hurt them in the standings because it's just, you're down a pitcher. Down a whole pitcher is insane. It's tough. This is going to be really tough 10 days now. It's like, it sucks because those 10 games are mostly also going to come against
good teams.
Easier. Well, half. It's 5 games against the Yankees and Astros, and then it was going to be 5 games, I think, against the Nationals and Rockies. I mean, we'll check at the end of the episode, but bad. Just terrible this happened.
Bad timing for sure. Nothing else to say about that. There's literally no conversation to be had. He's suspended now for 10 games, and that is it. Tim Kirkshin, you started this witch hunt, and I won't forget it.
Might have been right. He just might have been right.
He might have been right. Yeah.
He might have been totally right. But let's jump back now, talk about the rest of the series. Because this was another great series for the Mets. They won another series. They've won 13 out of 17 games dating back to, I feel like, I don't know when that was, but I just saw it looking at the schedule right now. I don't remember when that started against. But so cool Friday afternoon on a standalone baseball game to beat the piss out of Shota Imanaga.
Yeah, throwing 10 earned runs on him. The guy who everyone was ready to crown the Cy Young Award winner in the National League, clear Rookie of the Year, guy that the Mets saw earlier in the year. He absolutely diced us up, completely destroyed us. And
that's relevant. This is the first time any team has faced Shota twice. We're the first team. Yes. So this might be just a going around the league kind of thing. That's going to happen much more rare in this day and age. Again, with Rob Manfred's bastardization of the game, where you play every team in the league and you don't get to know the teams in your league and your division as much as you would like to. But interesting to note that this is the first team that faced Shota twice, and they hit the crap out of them.
I mean, that is interesting to note. And we talked with Lance Brozdowski about what he does so well. He didn't do anything well this game. He just got shelled.
No, he got crushed. Lance said that Shota was due for some home run regression, and he got a lot of it. The Mets hit 3 home runs, like Nimmo, JD in the first inning, and Francisco Álvarez. And Shota's ERA went from 1.89 to 2.96 in one day. One day. And the Mets had 11 hits in 3+ innings. 11 hits in 3+ innings. Ridiculous.
Do we think the Mets figured something out? Like, how are you thinking about this for Shota? Do you think that he's now getting figured out? Second time someone's seen him, they're like, oh, maybe not as nasty as we thought, or this is just like sometimes you pitch poorly and the wind was blown out in Wrigley?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think conceptually with a guy like Shota, that fastball has such a low slot and gets on you so fast relative to the velocity that I think it just probably takes you seeing him a few times to be like, oh, let me just swing on top of where I expect this ball to be. Like that might just have to be a mental cue you take with yourself as a hitter into a game like this, because you'll just keep swinging under it otherwise. But also the wind was blowing out, and this is just a team that's seen him twice. And the Mets lineup is on fire right now. The top of the order, the top 3: Lindor, Nimmo, JD. That top 3 has been special in this game. Those 3 combined to go 7 for 13, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 7 runs scored from 3 players.
I love
Threw
that.
6 RBI, 7-run score. It's incredible. And like that first inning, it happened right away. Where Lindor smacked the double, Nimmo took the walk, JD hit the home run that just in the jet stream, and it was cooked from there.
Yeah, no, I mean the offense was clicking from the beginning. It was great. It was a very relaxing game to watch. Although we did get to see Adam Ottavino throw 44 pitches, which that's insane.
I almost felt bad for him. I went back and looked prepping for the episode, and this was the most pitches Ottavino's thrown in a game since June 25th, 2017, almost 7 years to the day. And the craziest thing is that when they used him 44 pitches in this game, it was to save the bullpen he gave length. I think it was 2 2/3 innings after Quintana came out. We'll talk about Quintana in a second. He did some cool in this game too. When Adam Ottavino threw 48 pitches, the only time he threw more pitches in one inning, in an outing, it happened in 1 inning of work when he was still with the Rockies. He gave up 6 earned runs as a setup man coming in to hold the lead 2017 against the Dodgers. 6 earned runs and got the loss.
That's brutal. 48 in 1 inning that's almost like a crime. That should be a punishment.
It is a punishment because he was part of the Rockies organization. That's the punishment. I don't think there's any other team in baseball that would allow someone to do something like that besides the Colorado Rockies. But while I talk about Quintana, been very critical of him.
Yep.
Have to give him some credit because, for pitching with that lead, it's like that's very easy. The Mets spotted him 11 runs in 3 innings. So then it's just from there, you can just kind of cruise. I got so mad after the Mets scored in the first inning that he walked the leadoff guy in the bottom of the first. I was pissed. I was like stomping around my apartment. I was so mad. And then he eased in, but there was a meaningful pitch exchange with Jose Quintana. This was the first game he started all year where he used his curveball as his primary pitch. And his curveball has been the one pitch that's still been able to stick out for him, still missed bats through the season. He threw 33% of the time. That's the most he's used it in a single game as a Met. And the first time, again, he had it as his primary pitch in 2024.
Do you think that's a Jose Quintana change, or you think that's a game plan thing against the Cubs?
I think it could be game plan-ish because, and we'll get to this jumping around a little bit, Tyler McGill also, after he got crushed in the first inning by the Cubs, he went to more curveballs. And they said on television, it was the Fox broadcast, they said that was an Francisco Álvarez thing, but Quintana did it the day before, and it just worked. I don't know, it just worked.
Yeah, I mean, he pitched well enough. Happy to see Jose Quintana pitch well. Get it hot, trade him at the deadline for anything. I'm in.
And there's going to be a discussion now about the Mets deadline because Puma tweeted on, I think it was Saturday afternoon, that the Mets, as they're playing well, are looking to still trade their pitchers, but maintain the hitters and stay in the race. And then now you get to Sunday, where Luis Severino was fucking awesome. Yeah, he was everything that you wanted to see from him this year, jumping around, but like the velocity was there. He was throwing 98. He finally leaned on the sweepers like I've been begging him to do and like use that as an out pitch. And it was just the emotion. I love watching him pitch because he gets so excited out there. 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, no walks, no runs. First time since 2018, courtesy of Sarah Langs, that he had 10 strikeouts and no walks. When he had done it 5 times in his career up until 2018, which is just, again, showing that the oscillations of Severino. But snap decision right now. Would you trade him?
Yep.
Yeah.
Trade him right now.
I agree as well. I feel like that's something that's going to get some shit from the Mets fans. People are talking about it on Twitter, but you just got to look at the whole, I don't know. He's still great. Like the ERA's down to 3.29 in the year. He finally also, again, was using so many more 2-strike sweepers. The pitch had 4 whiffs, and it was a big reason he jumped to the 10 strikeouts in this game. And he was much more selective about when he was using the 4-seamers and the 2-seamers. He was just dotting them everywhere he wanted, staying 98. It was a fucking great start. It was one of the best starts I've seen from a Mets pitcher
in a while.
Years? Yeah, a year and a half.
He was amped. He was animated. I feel like the Mets have been playing with a little more emotion too recently.
Swag.
And I love to see that because this team needs a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, something that they've been lacking dearly. And Álvarez being back and Lindor hitting home runs and running around the bases, screaming and pumping his fist. Like, I love seeing all that stuff. When Severino got that strikeout and he went absolutely ballistic to end the inning, that was phenomenal. Also, I don't know, again, if you were watching the game on TV or not, but they were talking about on ESPN how Jeremy Hefner, they were talking to him about Severino and how Severino, I think, had 3 strikeouts in his last 3 starts combined, whatever it was. Like, it hadn't been great. And Hefner's like, we need him to get more strikeouts. We like pitching to contact. We like ground balls, but we like strikeouts better. We need him to get strikeouts. And what do you know? He had the best start of his season probably, right?
And that's a 2-seamer, 4-seamer thing, especially with the sweepers for Severino, because we've talked about that he's leaned on that 2-seamer sinker this year because it just has lost some action, so lost some life on that 4-seam fastball, which happens with age and the injuries that Luis Severino's dealt with. And just maybe there was a way that he was pitching, really trying to get that 4-seamer back to where he wanted to be the last few years, that maybe possibly like correlation, causation, trying to find reasons for things, possibly could have led to all these injuries that he's dealt with. So leaning on that pitch, he never threw more than 10% of the time heading into this year. He was his primary pitch. But now in this game, he pushed it back for more fastballs and more sweepers again, especially in 2 strike counts with those sweepers, and mixed in just enough changeups to keep hitters honest with it. I think he threw about 10 of them, and they were almost all in 2 strike counts. Just nice to see him mix it up. It's cool that Hefner said that because it reaffirms a lot of things that we've been thinking and saying. But
Yeah.
sadly, I would still trade him.
Yeah, Baltimore Orioles all day. They need him.
But again, credit to us for believing in Luis Severino and
Always.
telling you guys, telling the world that this was going to be something pretty legit. The second it happened, I was like, this is good, and it feels good.
Yeah, no, it is great. And do we want to have a little bit of a trade deadline discussion right now? I know you talked about Severino and the Mike Puma tweet about trading the pitchers. That's the right move, right?
It's the right play, totally.
It's the right play in my head. Like you can't really trade Pete and JD if you're trying to pretend like you're competing for a playoff spot. You have to figure out what the value is that you would get back for those guys as well, and if it's worth it. And I know the Mets will be running all those data and calculations and whatever they're doing behind the scenes. David Stearns, we trust in our king. But the pitchers, I think there's almost not a single one, like outside of like Kodai Senga and Christian Scott. Like, don't be stupid. But the Manayas, the Quintanas, the Severinos, someone wants Ottavino, someone wants Drew Smith, someone wants whoever it is. You probably just got to move anybody who's anyone.
You probably do. And again, every time one of these little tiny things leaks out, it gives me a lot more confidence in David Stearns. I've always had tons of confidence in Stearns, you guys know, but it seems like all the process, all the central decision making abilities, all seem to be pretty in check. And you say this now until he trades Pete Alonso on August 1st, but until then, like everything that's coming out, everything that trickles out, everything that we see is nice, and that's all good stuff.
Yeah, things that I like to hear, things that I go, ooh, I agree with you, David Stearns. Maybe that's also a problem.
Yeah, maybe that's bad. Maybe we all should be on the same page. Before we get into more of the stuff just from the series and the team, the trade deadline stuff, I just want to talk about Saturday briefly because Tyler McGill looked very bad.
Yep.
And had most of Mets Twitter ready to quit on him again. It's something that's happened to McGill a lot in his career that it just seems to really determine whether or not he's going to be good, is that the fastball velocity dipped down again.
Yep.
Him throwing 94.5 miles an hour versus 95.5 miles an hour, it just makes him a totally different pitcher. People swing and miss less. The fastball is less effective, especially because he leans on it so much. And he also, I alluded to before, the cutter has been really important for McGill as he's kind of been rejuvenating himself in the last month. He threw 6 colors in the first inning. A few of them got hit. A few of them missed badly. He didn't throw one more the rest of the game. Took him totally out of the repertoire, opted for curveballs. It worked enough, I guess. Didn't really work. The Mets just kind of got crushed. And we have the birth of a new Mets killer officially after the series.
Yes.
Do you know who it is?
Christopher Morel.
What the fuck is with this guy against the Mets?
He was like dead. He's basically been dead all year. But against the Mets,
since April 15th.
Yeah, against the Mets, he plays like an all-star every single time.
Every single time. I'm pulling it up right now. I think in his last 10 games against the Mets, he has 5 home runs.
Yeah, I
mean,
he's
stupid as hell.
He's a Met killer. There's no doubt about it. I don't.
Officially.
Is this just because we're Mets fans, we're masochists, that we know who the Mets killers are? Like, who kills the other teams that we have? I know we have good players, but I don't like. Do people go, oh man, Harrison Bader, he's really a Cubs killer because he had 2 doubles today down the line? Like, I don't know.
I was watching the Tigers White Sox game today for work, and the Tigers announcers were like, Nicky Lopez always seems to do something against us. He had 2 hits and RBI.
Right,
it was a 9-0 game. He drove home a run, and they were like, Nicky Lopez, real Tigers killer. But yeah, Christopher Morel. So in his career, he has the most home runs against any team against the Mets.
And he's played what, 11 games?
Tonight was his 19th. He has 6 home runs.
That's a lot of games that he's played against the Mets. I didn't realize that many.
Yeah, there are 33 games against the Reds. He has 5. 28 games against the Brewers. He has 5. And 12 games against the Phillies. He has 5. So maybe he's just an NL East killer.
Maybe he's a good ball player. I still like him a lot, but
yeah, he's weird. He was so good in April, and he was making great swing decisions, and it all just stopped. I think he got too excited that he was too good. Then it ended.
The whiskers. He was focused too much on making the whiskers.
Pete Alonso for Morel. Maybe it's still on the table.
Stop.
Now jump around to some other just fun Mets shit from this series that I want to talk about. Starling Marte got hurt. He literally ran to chase one fly ball and immediately left the game with knee soreness.
Well, so he also had that at bat earlier in the game where he grounded out and didn't run it out at all. And Ron and Moonface were talking about how they were kind of hinting the entire time, like, oh, he's not really hustling, and he hasn't really hustled all year long. But if you watch the replay of the swing, and obviously we now know there is something going on with his knee. It's a little bit funky. And you could see when he made that swing, he kind of took a step, was like, ooh, don't love that, started limping.
Just talk about briefly. Moonface is rough on the call.
Didn't watch his call, so I have no idea.
play-by-play. It's like I know SNY is really putting him in spots. I think he might be being groomed to be a future play-by-play guy. That would be an all-time bad beat because he has gotten better when he first started doing it, but it's just like
I'm sure it's a reps thing. You just need reps.
It's also very hard, I think, to be when you come as a sideline reporter. I think Steve objectively does well in his role as sideline reporter. It's just we just not the biggest fans. It's not; those aren't like the same thing.
No.
Those aren't like transferable skills. To be a sideline reporter, doing journalism, telling stories, connecting with fans and players, and then speaking the entire game. It's so different.
Like Kevin Burkhart's built different. That's why he gets to do the Super Bowl. Yeah, he's the man. We love Kevin Burkhardt. Gelbs has gotten better for sure. I'm sure he will get better as you do it more and more. But it's also an impossible task when Gary Cohen is the play-by-play, and then you're asked to fill in. We're just going to hate your play-by-play automatically. He'll be better than Michael Kay, though, in no time because that guy is talentless.
Yeah, it's horrible. But there's also very different skills by Michael Kay. I think Michael Kay is good on the radio and he's
great on the radio. Great on the radio.
Not the same things. Also, it keeps happening year after year after year. For some reason, Gary and Howie take the same weekends off.
Yes. Well, because I was going to say the TV one is because there's 2 national TV games this week.
Yes. But SNY still carried the Saturday game.
But I'm sure Gary's like, I'm not going to Chicago for one game or whatever it was going to be.
Yeah, probably just get the weekend off. Howie too. And next thing I want to talk about is it's really close to the time we probably have to have Jeff McNeil discussion. So close.
I know. I don't want to do it.
Jose Iglesias seems to not only be taking a playing advantage over Jeff McNeil. We had 4 hits in the game on Friday. It was 4 for 4 at some point. I think he had 3 RBIs. It's also becoming like a vibes thing for Jose Iglesias.
He is cultivator of vibes.
The team fucking loves him. They ride for this guy. The OMG. His song that's going to come out later this summer. We're all very excited for Pins and Needles. It's the growling cry. Apparently, they play it after wins in the dugout. And
after the home runs in Citi Field now, they play it.
Yeah, and he's like coming to the mound for the mound visits with Lindor.
Yeah.
Like when the sticky stuff thing was happening with Edwin on Sunday, he was the first guy in the scrum, like with the umpires and Edwin, like defending him. It's just everything seems to be a little bit better with Jose Iglesias out there. And Jeff McNeil, it's just hard to say how or why he should be playing. Like for the last month, do you want to hear Jeff McNeil stats for his last 30 games?
No, I don't want to hear them.
Do you actually not want to hear them? Because I'm going to say them.
You say for the podcast. I'll take out my headphones.
All right, take out. Mark doesn't want to hear these. Jeff McNeil's slash line his last 30 games is 186, 231, 294 with 2 home runs. That's it. And 8 RBIs. That's it. That's a month of baseball.
I'm going to guess that you're done. Yeah, I'm going to guess. I think I could read your lips, though. 186 did I catch?
Yeah, 186 is the first one.
That's tough. Yeah. Jeff is, I love Jeff. He's a friend of the pod, but man, he's playing about as bad as anyone has ever played.
It's shocking how bad he's been. And it's worse when the vibes are better with the backup.
Yeah.
And that also makes me think a tiny bit why maybe Jose Iglesias kind of wrongfully did not make this team out of spring training. And they had Wendell and Zach Short over him because maybe they were like,
he's got too many vibes.
No, it's just Jeff. This has to be Jeff. We have to give Jeff every single chance. He has the multi-year contract. He was batting JB 2 years ago. Like we're going to season with Jeff McNeil. We're going to give him every opportunity to do this. And now, like they might have seen the way that Iglesias was. They were just like, he's going to hang there. He's going to stay there, and we're going to have him when we need him. I guess, even though there was rumors that he was going to leave the organization when he got sent down, but it's rough.
Dude, God, I hate this conversation so much. You can't cut McNeil though, right? You can't DFA him. Can you? Will you?
I'm not going to say you can't because Steve Cohen's eaten more money than what Jeff McNeil's owed. I think he's owed 3 years, $12 million. So I think he's owed $36 million. I think when Robinson Cano went down, it was like $50 million.
Okay.
And McCann was like $25 million. So it's not that bad. But I don't know. Like maybe just there has to be a discussion about, especially like next year when Ryan Mauricio comes back. I think he is probably going to be penciled in as the everyday second baseman.
Yeah.
So then I think it just becomes Jeff McNeil winds up a super utility. It's kind of like what the Yanks are doing with DJ LeMahieu, where it's like, we're not planning for you to play a lot, but you're going to wind up playing because that's how baseball works and guys get hurt. And like, you're going to have to just be more versatile. You're going to have to play second when we need you. We're going to play the outfield when we need you. You're going to maybe have a pinch hit appearance against righties. And if you play enough to get your spot back, you can have your spot back. But it's just, he becomes Jose Iglesias next year, which is crazy to say. Yeah.
Need you playing well, Jeff. Although I really do think that it comes down to that weird injury that we know happened during spring training with the
Yeah.
elbow thing for him. That's why I feel like the balls are really having no oomph coming off his bat, but he's still hitting the ball in the air way too much and just not making good contact.
Yeah, just not at all. Someone else who is making great contact, and I really want to talk about Mark fucking Vientos.
He's a dog.
Fucking holy hell! Oh
He's
my
a
god,
dog.
it's crazy. He is a dog. I think the dogness might be what's making him good because he seemed like he had such a mission right now to
Yep.
be this team's third baseman. And the two things that we said were the things that Vientos just had to be able to do if he was going to stick and actually be a major league regular was the defense had to be acceptable and he had to just find ways to get on base more because the power is always going to be there when he connects. And his walk rate has doubled this year. The defense is totally fine. And the power is so fucking legit.
Dude.
451-foot home run Sunday night. Hit the top of the batter's eye in Wrigley Field. I've never seen a home run there in Wrigley Field.
That
ever.
that ball was different sounding off of his bat. That's like the noise that like I've heard from like Giancarlo Stanton or an O'Neal Cruz where I'm like, "Oh, that ball's hit different." Not just anybody can do that. And he smoked it, he crushed it. He's looking so confident at the plate. In the field, he's like you said, he's fine. A little bit rough still kind of
Totally.
learning, I think, how to play the position at a high
When
level.
did he make a bad error? Was
He
it
made that
that
bad
was the
where
Rangers
he
ninth inning?
yeah,
I
Rangers
believe
ninth
it.
inning, but then he also had the chopper that he went back on, and he had to charge it instead of going back,
Yeah.
and then he just couldn't make a strong throw to get him out. But when he's hitting like he's hitting, I actually don't give a shit how he plays at third base if he's
Don't give
going
a
to
flying
mash
fuck.
and be so incredibly valuable to this team, which he has been. And we've always been big Brett Beatty guys, but he's not getting a shot if Vientos is keeping this up. It doesn't matter if we think Brett Beatty's good. Viento will be better.
No, he's not even close. And one of the other key things that Vientos has done this year, really, really relevant and really important to his actually becoming a major league regular, because he's still like on that line between like JD Davis and someone who actually gets
Yes.
like Brees Hoskins. Like he's between those two guys right now, I think. And
I like
that's
that.
relevant, right? Like that's kind of the range. That feels like the range to me.
It's pretty good.
And he plays third base. Like I think Brees Hoskins will play third base, nevertheless. But I mean, I don't know. We might not have first baseman next year, so it's gonna be an opportunity for him. But what Viento's doing right now, plate discipline wise, is really special. And I use Robert Orr, baseball prospectus writer, who I shout on the show a lot. He has a really cool app online for his stat that he came up with, Seager, where you can have every single hitter's percentiles for Seager. Seager is an acronym for swing decisions. Basically, how much you're swinging at pitches inside the strike zone and how much you're laying off pitches outside the strike zone. Like whether or not you're being selectively aggressive enough in the right spots. And Vientos last year was near the bottom of the league in Seager, bottom 25%. This year, so far, he's in the 88th percentile
Whoa.
in Seager. So he's jumped all the way up from being someone who makes objectively very bad swing decisions to objectively incredibly good swing decisions. Right? And his swing decisions and his powers right now are in the same line as the guy that we really wanted this team to sign going into the offseason, Jorge Soler, where he's hitting the piss out of the ball and he's swinging a lot in the zone. And it's also borne out a lot with just Vientos' basic play discipline stats. He's swinging more pitches in the zone. He's making more contact in the zone. And his run value is positive in the shadow, which means he's laying off those pitches more
Nice.
and getting to the pitches in the middle where he's going to hit. And the pitch he hit on Sunday, did you catch that pitch that he hit 451 feet?
No, what was it?
I think, and this is high praise, I think it's objectively the worst pitch that's ever been thrown in a Major League Baseball game.
Okay.
Tyson Miller, Met legend, he threw an 88.
Oh, shit, that's the same
an
Tyson
80
Miller.
An 88-mile-an-hour fastball down the dick, belt tie, to Mark Vientos. I took the freeze frame and like tweeted it, and like a guy from Baseball Prospectus actually stole it, which is crazy that they always get so butthurt about things being stolen, and then they stole the picture I posted. But
Shout out Grant.
Shout out Grant. Like everyone on the internet steals things. It's just how it works. But it was 88 bang right there. That was it.
I want to talk about someone else. Vientos is great. You know who's also great too?
Tell me.
Francisco Alvarez. El Troll.
So
Dude, he's so awesome. Okay, again, you missed it. Sunday Night Baseball. Eduardo Perez was doing like naming a player and like saying something about him. So he said JD Martinez. He goes, best hitter I ever seen. He like Mark Vientos is like my boy, and then he's like Francisco Alvarez. He goes, ha, I got it right here, the best. And I was like, I love this guy. Like his energy is so infectious, and it's clearly played out with this team. Again, more and more praise coming from everybody this week about how awesome Francisco Alvarez is. And the thing that I love the most about him, not the fact that he mashes baseballs and he's starting to hit for some power and he's starting to get those extra base hits now, which that's what makes him really, really scary. But how he handles the pitchers game by game, pitch by pitch is awesome. There was where was it? I think Severino threw a slider at one point that
I was going to talk about this.
Oh, is it the same time? He threw a slider that Alvarez wanted more away, and I think the guy fouled it off. And he kind of got pissed at me. He was like, throw it away. Like he gave him like one of these like away, out. And then Severino hit it and he looked at him. He's like, that's the pitch I wanted.
Pete Crow Armstrong, I think.
No, it was a righty. I was a righty on
Okay.
this part. But then he did throw in a Pete Armstrong. It was good. And
Yeah.
Álvarez came out. He was like screaming at him, like, that's my fucking pitch. I love the way that he plays the game. It's infectious. It's fun. It's how baseball should be played.
There was also a moment earlier-ish in this game. I want to say it was third or fourth inning, similar time of game, where we talked about how much emotion Severino was pitching with and always pitches with. And sometimes you pitch with a lot of emotion. It could be good to channel that, but sometimes just kind of could be bad because then you start squeezing the ball too hard, start overthrowing. You don't want to do that because you want to maintain the mechanics. Severino got a big strikeout, and he was really amped up. And Álvarez took a mound visit after like a really good pitch, like before the next at bat, which that's a very rare thing to see. And Pat McCarthy was gushing about it over the radio. He was like, this is the difference of Francisco Álvarez. Like his control of the game, his understanding, not only of his pitcher's pitches, but his pitcher's mentality. And he went out there, put his arm on Severino, like pumped him up, was like, that's really good, but we have to stay focused. Keep going to the next batter here. Like, I know this is great, but like we have to do the right thing. And I also want to talk about Francisco Álvarez, the hitter.
Yes.
Because finally, Francisco Álvarez, the hitter, came up in a huge, huge way in this series. And this whole week in general, he kind of just went berserk. In our redraft fantasy league, I picked him up 2 weeks ago and stashed him on the IL. Not sure if you know this.
Move.
And he put up 50 points for me this week. In a game I won by 20. Changed the entire dynamic. Massive. But since the beginning of the Texas series, 6-game hitting streak where he had 3 hits, 1 hit, 1 hit, 2 hits, 1 hit. Over that span, he has 2 home runs. Over that span, he has 3 doubles. Over that span, he has raised his season slash line from 217, 260, 319 to 286, 343, 462.
That's pretty good.
217 to 286 in 6 games batting average. The OPS jumping 150 points. Special. And we're at the cool point right now for Álvarez because in his career, he's basically played a full season of baseball. He does 485 at-bats and 156 games played, which is more than a catcher's ever going to play in a season, but just as a good way to frame like what one full season Francisco Álvarez has been like so far. 29 homers, 80 RBIs, 223, which is still low, 295, 443 slash, but still a 738 OPS for a guy that is 22 years old playing catcher. Incredible.
And playing great defense and leads the pitching staff and 29 homers and 80 RBIs from a 22-year-old catcher. It's just, I mean, sign me up all fucking day. I love this dude so much. He's my next jersey, without a doubt.
He's the one?
Yeah, he's the one.
Wow.
I think when I get the City Connect, whenever Nike decides that they're going to make him look normal, I think we're getting Álvarez.
Definitely never going to get any of these Mets City Connect jerseys.
That's fair. But you don't. I'm a jersey collector. You're not like that.
No, my last jersey I got was a Hefner. That might be the last one for a while. I don't know.
That's
Unless I find a really good plug on DH.
Mets win the World Series, you get a Grimace jersey?
Fuck no.
Grimace dead?
Absolutely. No, Grimace isn't dead. Like, I think this Grimace thing is fun still because it's become like this awesome rallying cry for this team. It's stupid. Even Pete talked about it like on the broadcast. He was like,
they asked.
Grimace helped heat this up. And it was like, it's just funny. Like, you need stupid shit like that in a baseball season because baseball is so long and the game is mostly random. It's mostly bullshit. Everything that happens in a baseball game. So you guys kind of need vibes, and your randomness and your luck will play better your way. Someone else where nothing random is happening and there's no luck going on. It's just pure talent. Skill, beauty. Francisco Lindor. We need apology forms for all the people. Oh, we should put that on Twitter tomorrow.
Ooh, okay, good idea.
Okay, we should make that. We should find one of those Francisco Lindor apology forms because this fucking guy is not just playing really good baseball right now. There is an outside chance that Francisco Lindor, and this is going to sound insane, but like I have the stats to back it up. There's an outside chance Francisco Lindor is playing the best baseball he's ever played in his entire career right now, exactly this moment, 30 years old for the New York Mets. I am dead fucking serious about this. Francisco Lindor defensively, there's no words to say. He's a wizard. He's going to go down as one of the best defensive players of this generation. Like when you think about defensive players from like the age that we've like become adults watching baseball, infielders, it's Lindor, it's Andrelton Simmons, it's Nolan Arenado, it's Matt Chapman. Am I forgetting anyone? Manny Machado. Like, am I forgetting any other obvious shortstops? I don't know. Dansby kind of, but not really. He's fallen off a little bit.
Dansby has the great numbers, but I don't watch Dansby play and feel the same way that I did of like Andrelton Simmons. Both guys that played for teams that I hated, so there's just equal bias.
Equal hating bias. But for some reason, somehow, some way, the things Francisco Lindor is doing under the hood right now is, again, better than he's ever done in his career. A lot of people point to Francisco Lindor's 2 amazing seasons, 2018, 2019, as being the times when he kind of put himself on the map. And that's the thing that a lot of Mets fans will point to is like, why can't he ever be this guy again? Why can't he ever be 40 homer, 50 double Francisco Lindor again? And I understand that. Like, you see those numbers, that makes sense. But one of the beautiful things about a lot of the stats we have now is that they'll aggregate for the entire league and show you where you line up in the league. Because in 1 year, 40 home runs does not mean the same as 40 home runs in another year. And now, looking back, we know that those 2 years, we were playing fake baseball.
Yes.
Those baseballs were flying out of the world. And this year, the baseball is not doing that. And again, while the counting numbers don't look as great, even though Francisco Lindor, again, is tracking for 40 doubles, 30 homers, 30 stolen bases, again, and that'll be a legendary season for him. With, again, slash lines going up, it's going up. I'm sure that OPS gets back to 780, 800 by the end of it. All the under the hood shit is as good as it's ever been. Francisco Lindor right now, his barrel rate is so much better than it was in those 2018, 2019 seasons. His expected WOBA is better, around the same lines it was in those seasons. So when you aggregate for what the rest of the league is doing, his WRC plus, even last year, was as good as it was during those 2018, 2019 seasons. That, again, takes everything into account for the whole league. And his strikeout rate is back down. His walk rate is good. Like, the swing decisions are amazing. He just looks so in control every single at bat he steps in the box. He's not swinging and missing as much. It's beautiful what's going on right now. And he, in a time right now where the National League is so wide open and there's so many teams right next to each other, and Mookie Betts has gone down with an injury, it would be so fucking funny for Francisco Lindor, who's, I think, 6th in the National League in WAR in total, highest WAR in the National League since we gave him a standing ovation April 13th, to vault himself into the MVP conversation. It would be beautiful for a 40 double, 30-30 season with like a 260 average and 820 OPS with the best defense in the league. It's super possible too.
It would be incredible. Mets fans, we need to go out and vote for him for the All-Star game. I'm not one to normally push this kind of stuff, but he's not one of the top 2 for the shortstop. Trey Turner, who's played 11 games, is one of the top choices right now. And Mookie Betts, who's hurt. Got to vote Francisco Lindor. You don't got to vote for any other Mets. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Francisco Lindor, and you know what? Put Francisco Álvarez in there too. Vote for the Franciscos.
Vote for the Franciscos. Also, last 30 games for Lindor. Just going to say it because it's beautiful.
Go for it.
6 home runs, 17 RBIs, 7 stolen bases, 306, 365, 548 triple slash.
I love it.
It's the best.
He is the best. And when he's playing well, the Mets are playing well. They keep winning baseball games, which is great. We also got some great news. Kodai Senga threw a live BP, the first since he got the shutdown. That's big news. I love to hear that. That means we're getting closer. It means we're getting closer, everybody.
Yeah, he's going to throw another live BP this week in Citi Field, which is also another step. That's probably the last step, if it goes well, towards an actual rehab assignment. And they'll probably still need a very long rehab assignment. It's probably at least 3 weeks from the rehab assignment. So it's still, realistically, you're not going to see Kodai Senga until like July 20th, best case scenario.
Yeah.
Which is still kind of exactly where I thought he'd be at the beginning of the season. I said All-Star break, and I was like, that's what I'm sticking with. And we're going to maybe be a week after that. But him coming back, Christian Scott coming back up, we're going to be fucking rolling.
Oh, we're going to be rolling. Also, you know what? Random shout out here. Shout out Wardy, Mets fan. Big weekend for him. Had his kid. Shout out to Wardy. New Mets fan in the world.
Shea Ward. And
that's
Wardy that
strong
day.
Name, by the way. That's a hockey player name if I've ever seen one.
That's either a hockey player or just such a fucking union delegate. Plumbers 361, Shea Ward. Also, shout out Worthy because his grind is insane. His work ethic's ridiculous. He did a Mets postgame show, and then his next tweet was him holding his newborn child.
Wait, no.
I swear to God, that day.
That's awesome.
He did both.
That's sick.
I don't know how he did both. I'm like, how did you do both? He just said, you just hit me back and grind doesn't stop. I was like, sometimes maybe you should stop the birth of your child. Yeah. I would stop the grind for that, but yeah, shout out Worthy, friend of the pod, friend in real life. He's an insane person. Shout out.
All right. Time for a little media marvel.
Yeah, 2 things I want to talk about too. First, Cubs unveiled the Ryan Sandberg statue before Sunday Night Baseball. That was cool. He's a legendary Cub. And I want to drop one more Willie Mays fact. I might do this for a few episodes because Willie Mays is the best and he's a big part of Mets history. He might have won the best MVP award ever.
Okay, why is that?
He might have won the coolest MVP ever. I'm pulling it up right now because he had a season where he was worth, I think, 11 WAR and I think it was the World Series year, 54. Yeah, the first year he came back from 2 years overseas. Didn't play baseball for 2 years. Came back, hit 345 with a 1078 OPS and 40 homers. Won the World Series with the Giants. Made the catch. He won MVP. There was nobody else in his team who was worth 4 WAR. Nobody. The whole roster. And he dragged his team to the World Series. And I saw this tweet, comment from Michael Salfino, friend of the pod. Very curmudgeon-y athletic writer. There's claim that that's maybe the best season ever, the best MVP season, like the actual literal most valuable player there's been in a single season on a team with fully average baseball players. He dragged them to the World Series.
I understand what you're saying now. I understand it. Like physically, because they didn't have anybody else, he was so even more valuable.
Yes. And funny stat they dropped in the Saturday broadcast of this series, second Willie Mays facts episode. Let's see how many weeks we can go with one Willie Mays fact.
Okay, I'm in.
But He played 150 something games in the Cubs in his career. 51 home runs, 1100 OPS.
What?
Most home runs ever against the Chicago
What?
Cubs. Insane.
That's gross.
So disgusting. 'Cause I think the Cubs used to be in the West because Chicago used to be West compared to the league, and Willie Mays was out there as well. But just the fucking GOAT.
The GOAT. He is definitely one of the best of all time, if not the best. All right. What do we got for media marvels, James? I feel like I've been out of the media world a little bit. I had a couple banger tweets this weekend.
You did accidentally.
I should get drunk and tweet at 3:00 in the morning a little more often.
Your problem with Twitter sometimes you still work in the old Twitter vibe than the new Twitter vibe.
True.
New Twitter vibe, you need to either have a one-liner or you need to have like a good few sentences, like real English.
Yeah.
You struggle with both of those. You like
Yeah.
a run-on sentence that's like in the middle of the second line on Twitter. Those just don't play anymore. Like that's your shit. I understand that that's your game, but
That's me.
it doesn't work anymore. But your bangers were bangers because they were like simple and they made the media get played, which was big on new Twitter.
Yeah, in case you guys didn't know, I tweeted out at 3:30 in the morning because we were all sitting around in the house playing cards, and Simple Man came on, and I just got in my feels. I was like, I fucking miss Jacob deGrom. Like I miss this guy, and I went to Twitter, posted a video. The guys who were at the bachelor party who were like followed me on Twitter and stuff, they're like, I saw you tweeted at 4 a.m. You're a dog. You're always thinking about the content. I was like, never stops, never stops. And then that insanely bad play that Jared Kelenic made in center field, where he looked like he was drunk, honestly. It looked like he wasn't aware of where he was, or he got like spun around trying to play spinny bat. And I just tweeted, what the fuck happened?
I will say, very sorry to report this. Knew it was going to happen.
He's
the Jared Kelenic breakout is happening.
They hit him lead off, and he's fucking good.
He lead off against a lefty on Sunday, and he had a home run off of Nestor Cortez, and he's hitting about 350 and has a hit every single game since the Braves put him at leadoff. So that's a shame.
He's on my dynasty fantasy team. I picked him up as soon as someone cut him. I was like, I'll never give up on this guy.
I mean, it's just there's a lot of talent there. But media marvels. This is a great one. I got 4 really good media marvels this week. One's very serious, 3 are not. So I'm gonna start one not, well, then serious, and then we'll have some more fun.
Okay.
But Salicata.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry I said his name. I know we're not supposed to say his names.
That's fine.
But one of the worst members of baseball media that exists, he said on his radio show on Thursday, this is something he actually said. You're not going to believe this shit.
Because I definitely didn't listen.
He, of course, who would ever listen to Salicata? He's terrible. He said that he would rather the Mets get swept by the Chicago Cubs in 3 games if it meant they would then sweep the New York Yankees in 2 games. So just some general like math lessons for Salicata.
What?
First one, huge one, big math lesson. I can't believe he got past 2nd grade with this one.
Yeah, break it down.
3 is worth more than 2.
Yes, 3 is more than 2.
You got that?
Hold
so
on.
if you were to lose 3 games and then win 2 games, you would be worse off because you would have lost 1 more game than you won. You can check my math on that.
Google says that's true.
The Mets, even just by winning 2 of 3 games in the series against the Cubs, they jumped 4 teams the NL wildcard standings, including the Chicago Cubs. So a team that you're directly competing with for your wildcards, more valuable to win games against them because that means they're losing the games, Sal, and then you can have a better chance to make the playoffs. But he doesn't care about the Mets making the playoffs because he's probably not even a real Mets fan. So just shout out Salicata for that one. Legendary shit.
That one's honestly broke my brain a little bit because it's so fucking stupid. Like you almost have to be purposely stupid to do that.
He said something, this was so dumb that usually I'll do the notes for the episode like right when the last game ends, like half hour before we start recording, so I get everything as a full picture. I opened this Google Doc on Thursday afternoon, the second I heard that on Twitter. And I opened this Google Doc and I wrote Media Marvels, Licata would rather Mets get swept by Cubs if it meant sweeping Yankees.
That's
it's special.
I hate the Yankees. I hate the Yankees more than I should because they really don't matter. But that's brain dead. That's things you can't say. Things I'd love to say, but you can't say it. Salicata, you're an idiot.
Big lesson. 3 is worth more than 2. And the next one, serious Media Marvel. I think that Major League Baseball did a really good job with the Rick Woods Field game, the Negro League homage game. It was really well done. The fact that they had Barry Bonds in the pregame, postgame show, the fact that they let Reggie Jackson talk his shit and give bone-chilling like stories about the racism that he felt when he was a player. And just like to remind people, Reggie Jackson was a baseball player. He came up in 1967. So he was talking about things that were happening to him in the 60s and 70s in this country. Ago. It's not long ago at all. If you guys are listening, our dads were alive, and if some of our older fans, you may have been alive for when these things were going on. So insane shit that the A's would stay at team hotels, and that managers and owners would say Reggie Jackson's not allowed to stay there in the 1970s. And if you guys baseball, there's not a lot of teams that play in the South either.
No.
There really isn't. And that's what Hotel Manager saying to Ray Jackson. Shout out Charlie Finley. Just I've been so deep in this baseball history book, and Charlie Finley's like a major character in it. He would pull his team out of the hotels. He said, if Reggie can't stay, no one's staying here.
That's
And
awesome.
they would go to team restaurants. They would say, if Reggie can't eat there, no one's eating there. Fuck you.
I
And
like
that's
that.
sick. And just really cool that Major League Baseball let Reggie Jackson do that, say that, because I think this game was important for that. So sad that this game was in Willie Mays' backyard and he had passed away the day before. Horrible. And also, shout out, they showed one of the oldest, one of the last remaining Negro Leaguers.
Yes.
Mr. Gleason.
Yes.
Steve Gleason, I believe. And they had the shot of everything he's done in his life, where it was like playing the Negro League. I gotta find the tweet. I'll find the tweet right now. I'll keep talking about, but just really proud of Major League Baseball for navigating something that need to be very carefully done and doing a good job with it.
No, they did a really, really good job. They've done a good job with a lot of these one-off games that they've done. This one obviously means more than playing at the Field of Dreams or playing in London or playing in Mexico. This is for a different purpose. This isn't for the outreach, for the growth of Major League Baseball. This is to pay respect and kind of just like understand like the Negro Leagues are a major part of our history, not just in baseball, but in America. And this is something that we need to celebrate because they got treated like shit.
Yeah, his name was Bill Greason. And it's just, it was cool that he was an Alabama local and he was able to sit there and watch the game in a field that he played on. And they talked about him and Reggie both talked about like the actual pain and having to like come back to these sites and be like, we weren't allowed to play Major League Baseball. And most of us were good enough to. And that is pretty fucked.
That is fucked. All right. What's the next one here, James? Again, I was a little busy, so I'm going to lean on you for Media Marvels and I'll be surprised on what you tell me.
Next one here, big one, fun one, has to do with us. We've talked about Mets'd, the Mets blog, big Twitter account, stealing things every now and again. And they straight up stole one of our memes. It was kind of crazy. Straight up, they took the exact meme that I sent you during the Rangers series, which is you put Grimace's face on Stringer Bell and you say, I want you to put the word out that we back up. And they took it. Exactly. But what they did, they double stole. I give them a lot of credit for the double steal.
Okay.
It wasn't just a single steal. So last year, if you guys might have remembered, the Mets actually made this meme themselves when they thought that we were back last May, when really we were dog shit the entire year. But they did really good Photoshop because the Mets have a lot of talented people working social media where they put a Mets pinstripe jersey on Stringer Bell with a Mets hat. So Mets'd took that picture, which had a Mets jersey on Stringer Bell and the Mets hat, and then put a Grimace on Stringer Bell with a Mets hat on. So a double steal. So I guess if you double steal, you really never steal. But yeah, shout out Mets'd for stealing our content.
Yeah, that's a double negative, which means it's a positive.
Yes, totally. But yeah, I saw that on my timeline. Like 3 people tagged me. I was like, I cannot believe this.
Wait, this is our 300th episode.
This is a 300th episode. I was gonna save it at the end, but yeah,
I didn't even. I just saw the outline. Mets'd up 300. Shout out to us, 300.
Right. Shout out to us. Go Sparta. Mets'd up 300.
Hall of Fame pitcher right there. 300 wins.
Yeah, it could have been us. I mean, it could have been Tom Seaver in a Mets uniform if they didn't get rid of him. But that's a shame. Last Media Marvel. Were you on Twitter a lot on Sunday?
No, because I was playing golf. Shot 90. Shot 42 on the back nine. Really good job by me. Props. Clapping it up for me at home. But no, I was not on Twitter. Delaware, not big fans of Verizon service.
Keith Hernandez had one of the craziest tweets I've ever seen in my life on Sunday. So it seems like Keith, if the Mets are on, he's not working it. He's just kind of unhinged. 7:39 on Sunday night. So as the first inning was going on second inning was going on between the Mets and the Cubs, you're not even prepared for what I'm about to tell you. I'm going to clear my throat for this one. The paradox of tolerance states that if a society's practice of tolerance is inclusive of the tolerant, intolerance will ultimately dominate, eliminating the tolerant and the practice of tolerance with them.
What?
I think that's the most times in human society, the history of the spoken and written word, that tolerance has been used in one sentence. The record, for sure.
Now, I understand, again, I'm not working at full capacity right now. Does that mean anything? It sounded like nonsense to me. I don't want to be insensitive and say, like, I don't get it, and it might be really profound, but I don't think it is.
I can't figure it out. I don't know. He didn't credit anybody with the quote, and he has now 250,000 impressions on this tweet and counting. The two best replies, one's from Mets Legends.
That's good.
Keith, did you just hit the Benjamin? And the next tweet from Rob P1369. Keith, those are not normal gummy bears.
KCJ, Keith put the bong down. These are. Can we get cat pictures?
Yeah, I just came on the timeline. I was like, what the fuck is going on, Keith? But those are the Media Marvels this week. Three good, three pretty bad, one pretty good.
I'm telling you guys right now, I'm bringing the heat for the next Media Marvels. I didn't have any this weekend. I'm going to bring the heat for the next one.
I'm excited for you to bring some heat for once.
Yeah, of course. All right. What's our next series coming up here, James?
It's the New York Yankees.
I know. I'm just
Oh, okay.
see, I'm doing the thing where I
Oh,
give
you're
you a
doing the
little
thing.
intro.
Wow, amazing. Nice. Good thing. But Yankees coming to town, 2 games at Citi Field. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be
It's
very hot.
it's gonna be hot. Are you going to any of the games? I know you were very up in the air. The prices have gone up for tickets. What is your thoughts?
I'm probably not. I don't really want to spend $100 to go to a Mets game.
Fair.
I don't know. That's like to me, that's where that's at. And also just I had a great conversation with my guy, what's his name? Keith? No. His name was what the hell is this guy's name? Met a big Mets fan at a party on Saturday in Bushwick. What the hell was his name? It was a weird name. Crimson? No.
Crimson?
I don't know. He's a Jersey Shore kid, and he lived in this city now. What the fuck was it? Clemson? Damn, what was his name? I gave him a
Better
stick. He
not
said he
be
was gonna listen to the
Clemson.
episode. I forgot his name. Oh, I feel terrible. But we were
Clemenza?
we were lamenting at the fact that if you're a 20 game ticket holder for the Mets, you used to be guaranteed opening day Subway Series, and now you're not anymore. It sucks because
What?
yeah, that's a 20 game package. We don't have a Subway Series game. It's
That's
bullshit.
lame.
So the Mets have gotten so lame to season ticket holders this year because they know they have us
Oh,
for life and they're trying to attract more fans. I get that because you have worse access to playoff tickets, you have less access to the good games this season, and you
the
have less
prices went
ability to
up.
transfer your tickets around the season, and the price went up. So fuck them for that. But yeah, probably not gonna be able to get to one of those, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a shame because Garrett Cole's going to be on the mound for one of them, right?
Yup. And Tuesday night, Garrett Cole versus David Peterson, ace off,
Ace
and
off.
Wednesday night, Sean Manaea versus Luis Heel, ace off,
Ace off. Ace
ace
a lot.
off.
Sounds like a good time to get to City Field and watch some really good Mets pitchers.
Yeah, some soft tossing lefties against some hard throwing righties for the Yankees. That's rough
And
for that.
we
But
don't have an extra guy in the bullpen. Oh my
yeah,
god.
we're down. But it's the extra guy in the bullpen. It's not that bad right now because we're off on Monday and we're off on Thursday before the
Okay, all
Astros
right,
come to
yeah.
town next weekend. Which I do want to go to one of those Astros games. So maybe circle Saturday 4:10 for Mets Astros.
Okay.
To keep that one in mind for us. McGill versus Ronald Blanco. So it could be
Ooh.
some more sticky stuff going on. But the Yankees are awkwardly coming into the series low key playing the worst baseball of the season.
Yeah.
They dropped the series in Boston. They dropped a home series against the Orioles where they got fucking spanked in the
Spank.
last game of that series, and they got bodied in the second game of that series. And a kind of a flaw may have been uncovered that bit in the Yankees in the Red Sox
Oh
series,
yeah.
where you can kind of just steal on them. And the Orioles made a joke about it on Twitter. If you guys
Oh
didn't see
yeah.
that, they were like, "Hey Yankees, this is how it's done." When Adley threw out Oswaldo Cabrera in extra innings to win that game on Wednesday,
Ooh,
and
I have a media marvel. I just remembered one. To
hit
interrupt
me,
with you, Joe Girardi was calling out Adley Rushman, saying he's got a bad arm, and like
fuck off.
almost instantly made a beautiful, perfect throw to get Oswaldo Cabrera out. And I was like, wow, the timing of that was incredible. Because one, I think Adley Rushman has a cannon. I think he's one of the best
Monster.
defensive catchers in all of baseball, if not the best. And two, the timing is just so good. Joe Girardi, bad manager, bad announcer.
No, legitimately. But the Yankees team also just dropped the series to the Braves. So a
Couldn't
team
help us
that
out
was
there, fucking assholes.
on top of the world. They Luis Heel is coming into this game also making it by far his worst start of the season. Got shellacked. A lot of aggression came in Luis Heel at once in that Thursday afternoon game against the Orioles. But this Yankees team is still incredible. We're missing Giancarlo Stanton. He's taking his scheduled trip to the IL. At the same time that Jason Dominguez got hurt as well. So the Yankees
Yep.
didn't even get to use the best fourth outfielder in baseball. So we're going to see a heavy dose of Aaron Judge, of course, Juan Soto, of course, which is going to be probably some Mets Juan Soto content this week, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably a little
Maybe
bit.
him in Citi Field. I'm sure they're going to try him. I'm sure Scott Boras in his ear being like, you got to tell people how much you love Citi Field.
Yeah.
You have to say that to the media.
My
It's
favorite stadium to play in besides Yankee Stadium.
it's a messed up guarantee that that Juan Soto is going to say how much he loves Citi Field. Messed up
Yes.
guarantee he's going to say this week. But we're going to see Garrett Cole, too, making his second start of the year. He was not great against the Orioles, which is partially probably because he was facing the Orioles, but also partially because it seems like the Yankees just wanted him back rather than just like waste some of these innings in the minors. His fastball was only sitting 94, 95, which is low for Cole, and he was throwing a lot of colors, almost 30% colors in his debut. So maybe that's just a switch he's making, or maybe just knows the fastball isn't there yet. But velocity is usually kind of stable when you come back from a UCL injury, and the fact that it's this low, that might just be the way he has to pitch this year, which could be major bad news for him in the Yankees.
Doesn't feel like good news, at least.
Nah. I mean, other stuff about the Yankees. I don't know, guys. They're the fucking
Aaron
Yankees.
Judge is really good. He's the best player in baseball. Juan Soto's the second best player in baseball. Yeah, I mean, Giancarlo, we're missing him. He's not playing, obviously, because the injury. I have a tweet to tell you about afterwards about Giancarlo Stanton. Verdugo's, yeah, it's Papelbon's tweet.
That could be Media Marvel as well.
How awesome was that tweet? So, in case you guys didn't know, Giancarlo Stanton, IL. Jonathan Papelbon tweets, finally Stanton goes to the IL. this is what my under in his home run total for the year needed. I knew he couldn't go all year without landing on the IL. Is this 8 to 9 years in a row? Take your time, Mike. I mean, John Carlos, don't need to rush back.
Jeez, that's like wait, like too disrespectful to even give him that much credit for.
It's a
But
lot. But yeah, outside of those guys, though, the team doesn't really hit that much.
no, outside of those guys, Gleyber Torres had a very bad year. He seems to be doing the P. Alonso thing where he just seems so nervous in his contract year.
Squeezing.
Really tight from Gleyber Torres. It's really disappointing because he's someone I had high hopes for going into the year. He's been just really good for the last few years, but hard to talk about. The Yankee rotations kind of been what's held them up this year, but we don't really have to talk about them because we're only seeing Heel and Cole. And Heel's still been amazing, but it's just like he fills up the zone with lots of heavy fastballs, high heat, and then sliders come off them, a smattering of changeups. I don't think Clay Holmes gets enough respect for being a really good closer.
You do love him.
He's an awesome pitcher, and the rest of this Yankee bullpen's been really good. Ian Hamilton, one of my favorites, has not been great this year. He's been
Sleeper cells back.
Yes, Michael Tonkin's been amazing since the Yankees got him. Which
1.07 ERA in 25 innings is ridiculous.
Yeah, go fucking figure. And they also Phil Bickford's up in that bullpen too right now. And
wait, really?
Yes, he got called the weekend, and this is huge too. Yankees signed another old friend this weekend from the Mets. Did you see this?
JD Davis.
JD Davis is a Yankee. He's probably going to be DHing without Giancarlo Stanton in these games against the Mets. Also, fun prospect Ben Rice came up, Yankee first base. He can
great plate discipline,
amazing, and some power. So he's kind of fun. But
if the Mets had any balls, they'd give Phil Bickford a fucking montage. I think that'd be so funny.
That would be hilarious. You think like a JD Davis one?
He's surely played in Citi Field, right?
I guess.
I think he has. The Giants played like 3 times
last year. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's Yankee Subway Series. The stadium always gets hot for the Subway Series. It's like a major New York pilgrimage. It's very fun. The groups of friends are there. The girlfriends and the boyfriends who are split Mets and Yankee fans. Like it's a great event. It really is. Every year.
I will be there Wednesday night. If you guys are there, say what's up. Going with Bengal. Okay, any of you guys like football YouTube, he will also be at the game. So come say what's up to the boys. Otherwise, we got nothing else to say, right? We got to check the reviews now. We got any shout outs there?
Yeah, quick review check.
Take a look, James. Take a look.
Taking a look right now.
Good podcasting.
It's all right. If you guys are still hanging out with us now, you just kind of want to hang out with us anyway.
Yeah,
so we'll take that.
We're chilling. And I'm sure if you were waiting for your shout out, you're like, can you get to the point already?
And also just want to double tap talking about how great the Lance Brosdowski interview we did on Friday was. Like he's just such a fucking smart guy. And it's really cool to get these like dense and thorough perspectives from fans of other teams when we're playing them. We wanted to get a Yankee person on for this episode, but it's just with Saturday Night Baseball, we were recording too late and Mark at the bachelor party, so it didn't make any sense. But it's good. It's very good.
Okay, reviews. I've got one. Great podcasting. Evan from Philly. Wow, a Philly guy. 5 stars. I've been a listener and a fan of Mets'd since 2022. Mark and James are great podcast hosts and sports analysts. They give good info and level-headed takes about the Mets while also being funny and personable. Their passion for the team is contagious. Love their social media content as well. I really resonated with that timed rant when the team was legit hard to watch. Thursday's interview with Lance Brosdowski was a deep dive, but I was invested and able to follow along because they do such a good job. Thank you, Evan from Philly. Appreciate you.
And I think we have one more from Stray Falls from Thursday. I don't think we had this one last episode. Okay. Stumbled upon greatness. This is such a long review. Oh my God. 3 paragraphs. All right, let's try. Been a big fan of the podcast since early 2022. I found you guys by accident when searching for Mets content during the 2022 run. I'm honestly super glad, and now it's a show I look forward to whenever it comes out. I'm a West Coast fan living in Nevada. Shout out Nevada. So there's no one here to talk with the Mets about. I'm super happy to have some Mets talk to listen to while I'm at work. I love the consistent content and really enjoy the prospect reports as well. Not super in tune with the farm system, so as I am with the Major League team. You guys are my only source when it comes to that. Thank you. Keep up the great reports. Thank you for the great content. I'll be listening as long as you guys keep the show going. I also have a question in regards to the segment like Media Marvels and the prospect reports. I was a big fan of Estimate section in previous episodes. You guys plan on bringing that back in some capacity? Maybe, because some show news. I mean, I'm not going to make him come on camera and talk right now, but because it's going to make it hard for him to edit. But we have a summer intern, and sorry about this one for you guys. Nepotism was at play. Major nepotisms. My cousin Matt, the man. Matt is a senior at Butler University. Go Bulldogs. He is training and planning and working this summer to become a baseball play-by-play announcer. He's a dog. He's a beast, hard worker. And Matt's just such a freak for his teams. Like, he's the biggest Ranger fan I know. He keeps our cousin group chat going with Ranger content all year, and just a crazy psycho Mets fan, like since he was a small child. Since I remember him being a small child, we used to play wiffle ball together upstate. So Matt's the man. shout out nepotism, and shout out him. So maybe with him, we will be able to bring back things like estimate, where like Mark and I can go head to head and like make some wagers on stuff.
I think that we should introduce him in the next episode. Next
Yes.
Sunday's episode, we'll introduce him. But I think like a little bit of homework. Like he has to come with something. He's gotta bring the heat somewhere.
Bring a segment, a quiz, give us something for Mark and I to like make a bet on or something.
Yeah.
Or just bring a stat if you want to just like talk a stat, because you do have crazy stats in that noggin. So if you want to come and say something cool that happened, all you. We can do the Matt minute. We'll give you a minute. Like maybe that could be the Matt minute.
Matt minute. All right.
Matt minute. Give Matt 1 minute to jump in, say hi to the people, and drop whatever he wants to drop.
Well, guys, you heard it here. We've now got an intern. We're big time. We're ready to go. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Mets'd podcast. Remember to follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel so you can see the video version of this. And if you're listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
And I'm Giraffe Neck Mark with a C. Catch you guys on the next episode. Beat the Yankees. Let's go Mets.
Peace out. See you guys next time.